Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Linda. That really touched me. Thank you. Beautiful. I love communion. I love the Lord. I like to share a few things with you. It's a bit hard to begin, but I'll try to do my best. As you probably already know from my accent, I am from the Netherlands. I was born and raised in Holland. And I was also raised in a Christian family. My parents went to the Dutch Reformed Church. That is a very traditional church, very well known in Holland. I knew nothing else than that, really, especially when I was very young. I went to always a Christian school. Everything was Christian in my life. My whole family was Christian. And so when I came to an age about 15, 16, that was normal that you would go and do professional faith. That is like confirmation. And for that to do, you have to go to confirmation classes. And they sort of let you know what the church is all about and what is expected of you. Because you have to go in the church and you have to stand in the church and say yes to a few things. So, because everybody else went, I went too. And after that was over, that takes about 4 weeks, maybe. You go 1 week or 1 hour, and they teach you a few things, what you can expect, and what you can expect to happen on that day. And after that, they ask you, are you willing to do that? And I said, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. Honestly, I don't have a clue what this is all about. And I give it a miss. I can't do this because I know I can't do it for my parents, even though all my siblings did it. I can't do it for my parents because I know if I say yes, I'm lying. And I know if there is a God, because that became the question for me is, who is God? It got me thinking. This whole confirmation classes got me thinking, who is God? And what do I believe? Do I believe what my parents teach me or taught me or what I've heard at the school or at church? Who is God? So what I did after that, and like I said to the minister, I said, I can't do this, but I will go and find out more about it. What I did is I went to the library or whatever I could get my hands on, I would go and read about different religions. Because all of a sudden that got me thinking. And I thought what is this God all about? I want to know. But even though I read the books, it didn't bring me any wiser. So in the end, I said this prayer. God, if you are there, you'll have to let me know. Because I don't know. If I was born in a Muslim family, I would think that is the truth. If I was born in a Hindu family, I would think that is the truth. What is the truth? And I left it with that because I didn't know what else to do. So I went my own way. When I was at home, I went with my parents to church. And because I didn't say that there wasn't a God, but I just didn't know who he was. So I just went for my parents to go to church, but I ended up later in my life, in my 20s, in Switzerland. And I was working there in nursing, and I loved it, so I stayed for 7 years, and in that time I met my husband, what is now my ex-husband, but he's Swiss. And when we got married, and he wanted to migrate to New Zealand or Australia. Now, one of my siblings, my accent, siblings, went to Australia 17 years before. And I said to my husband, okay, let's go to Australia because I would like to see my family there. So we went to Australia and we stayed in Victoria with my brother and the family. And after that, a few weeks, we went to Wagga Wagga because my husband had family there, not family, friends there living. And we went to see them and they offered him a job. So we stayed there. We stayed there for 2 years. In the meantime, I had 2 children, and a girl and a boy. And then we had people that moved to Newcastle, and we went to see them, and they lived in Stockton. And we went to see them one day for Easter, and we loved it. Straight away, we thought that's where we want to live. So we sold our house and everything, and we moved to Stockton. And I lived in Stockton for about 40 years. I live in Merriweather now, but I lived in Stockton. My children were raised in Stockton. And like I said, my kids love it. We all love it. But when my daughter was about 4, I started to feel very uneasy. And I thought about my life again. I started thinking about my life. What is my life about? I have all this, but what is my life all about? And I remembered my sister-in-law. When I came to Australia, I knew they had changed church from Dutch Reformed Church. They went to a Pentecostal church. And I went with them once. And I thought it's quite nice, not thinking anything of it. But I noticed that my sister-in-law had something that I didn't have. And what I later found out was she had peace, and I didn't have peace. But I wanted it. But I didn't know how to go about it. But in that time, I started thinking maybe I should read more about it. And I did. But that didn't make me any wiser. Then I thought by myself, my mother, she used to have books, Christian books, novels, and I love to read them. I wonder whether my sister-in-law has some. So I rang her, and she said, yes, I have some, and I will send you some. So I received a package in the mail a week later, and 3 books were in that. And there was one book that stood out straight away, and that was this book. This book is called I Dare to Call Him Father. I started to read, and I couldn't put it down. Because it was all about a Muslim woman that was searching for the truth. Exactly the place where I was. And I started to read it, and she was at a place that she lived in Pakistan, and in Pakistan it was not allowed to be a Christian. If you were a Christian, you have to be very quiet about it. But one day she started to question her faith. And she was reading the Quran, and she knew about Jesus. And she thought I wonder what the Christians think about Jesus. So she had servants that were Christians, and she asked them for a Bible. And after 3 days, she got a Bible on her table, and she started reading. And she opened the Bible, and it fell open by the story of John the Baptist. And she started to read about John the Baptist, and she started to ask herself, who is John the Baptist? Never heard of him. But I want to know, who is he? And then she remembered that there were living in her village a missionary couple. And she thought from, maybe I can go there and ask them. But I have to be very quiet about it and very secretly, because otherwise if they find out, then I'm in big trouble. She was a very wealthy woman, very well known in the village. But she did go one night and she talked to them. They were very welcoming and they said from, yes, we can tell you who he is. So they told her from the Bible who John the Baptist was. And she also, when she went home, she said from, can I come back if I have more questions? And they said, yes, please do. You are welcome anytime. So she started to read the Bible and she started to read the Quran. But whenever she went to the Bible, she felt peace. And when she went to the Quran, that left her. And God was teaching her something from a very beginning. But she came to the point that she said, from God, in what book are you? And she said and then she heard God saying, in which book do you meet me as Father? And she started to cry because that was very important to her. She lost her dad when she was young. And that was very important to her. And she knew the truth. She knew the truth that was in the Bible because she read about God the Father. By that time she had read about God the Father. Never in the Quran, but in the Bible. So she knew that she was on the right track. And then she wanted to be baptized because she came to Jesus baptized. And she started to ask the missionaries if she could be baptized. And they said yes, but we have to go to the next village. But she felt a voice inside her, no, you have to be baptized now. So she did it herself in her bathroom, in the bath, and she was baptized there. And she also went with them and she got baptized in the other village. But she always felt the baptism was in her bathroom because the presence of God came in her bathroom. And she knew that she was with him because she felt him. And then she started continue to reading and she started, and in the meantime I'm reading this book, this testimony, and I can't put it down. And she comes to the point that she read about the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And she straight away said to herself, I want that too. So she goes to her bedroom, she falls on her knees, and she asks God to be baptized in the Holy Spirit, and the Spirit of God comes in her room. By that time, I am so overcome, and I know that God is speaking to me to do the same thing. So I go to my bedroom, and I ask him to fill me with the Holy Spirit. And the same thing happened. The Spirit of God comes in my bedroom. And I know that he is there in person. And I walk with that person for about, knowingly, after that all my life till now, but for 3 days I couldn't stop talking. I couldn't stop talking to Jesus. I rang my sister-in-law and she was over the moon because she also told me then that for that book, for me to get there, she prayed and she went to a Christian bookshop and she asked, what can I send Denise for book? She was drawn to this book, but she thought, no, that's not a book for her. Couldn't get away from that voice, inner voice. Went back, bought a book. And that was the book that I read. So she told me that. And she said, the first thing you need to do is going to a church. Find yourself a church. But like I said, I had to ring her back, and I said, I don't know what to do, because I'm walking with with Jesus. I know I walk with Jesus, and I'm talking with him all the time. But I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to stop, because I was so ignorant. I had never, ever heard of anything like this, that anything would happen to any person like that. Not in my whole Christian life when I was living at home. And so my sister-in-law said, no, she said, it is okay, you can relax and that will all work out. Just take your time with it. And I did. I took my time with it. But that is how my journey started. I can tell you a whole lot more what happened after. And it is, maybe I can do that one day, I don't know. Because a whole lot happened after, what was very significant for me. And very spiritual. Because I had been involved in things that were not right. Because I was curious, I opened the door to occult and all other things. And that got an effect on me. And it is amazing that it affects you when you become a Christian, not before. But, yeah, I feel that's another story, because that takes too long. But what I really want you to see today is that God answered my prayer 20 years later through this book, A Muslim Woman, because I had said 20 years before, if I would be raised in a Muslim family, I would think that is the truth. He showed me through the book the truth. And I never doubted since. I know he's with me always.